Great. And it's Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia. We're at the Association of the U.S. Army Conference in Wiesbaden, Germany. I have a chance to talk with one of the panelists in the first session. That is Dr. John Nagl, who is at the Army War College. And Professor, kind of an ominous first panel here in the discussion of a next war and the possibilities for the future. What did you take away from the session this morning?
So the first panel, and I give the Association of the United States Army a lot of credit for leaning into discomfort and looking at the worst case, which is, of course, what the military should plan against. But the panel was World War Next. And what I talked about was the possibility that a third world war in which the United States would fight adversaries in both Asia and in Europe has already begun. So I looked at what's called an axis of upheaval among North Korea, Iran, Russia, and China, and what a challenge that would present to the United States and our allies and partners around the globe, and thought about some of the things that we should do to make that war less likely, and if war occurs, to fight and win.
And it came up in discussion the coordination between Russia, China, North Korea, Iran to various extents, and a lot of concern about North Korea's involvement in Ukraine and what they may be benefiting from that engagement may be.
Yeah, that's very deeply disturbing. North Korea, some estimates are, is providing 50% of the 155 millimeter artillery ammunition that Russia uses to fight the brave Ukrainians. And the big question that we don't know, at least at the unclassified level, I certainly don't know, is what North Korea is getting in return for all that ammunition that it's providing to Russia and the soldiers who are fighting and dying on Russia's behalf. At the very least, North Korea is gaining very valuable experience in modern combat. At the worst, Russia is providing North Korea with information on ballistic missile technology. We know North Korea has nuclear weapons. The combination of those nuclear warheads with successful ballistic missile technology, which of course the Russians mastered decades ago, is extremely disturbing to Taiwan, to Japan, to the Philippines, states in the Asia Pacific.
Okay. And you talked a little bit about that you can't look at the Indo-Pacific differently from Europe, that there's so much that links the two areas of the world today. Why is that happening? Why do you have to look at the world in a total view, Europe and Pacific?
Our adversaries, the Department of Defense describes China as our pacing challenge because it has the technology, the shipbuilding, but it doesn't have the combat experience and is not actively engaged in combat. It's conducting operations below the level of open warfare, what we might call gray area conflict. And they are tightly bound. They get an awful lot of their oil. 90% of their oil comes from Iran, but the rest of it comes from Russia. And so the links between China and Russia, a country that is our acute threat, that is currently fighting the Ukrainians, engaging in nefarious activities in Europe against our NATO allies and partners around the globe. The combination of China and Russia provides a threat that the United States has not faced, that order of magnitude, not just since the collapse of the Soviet Union, but I would argue all the way since the defeat of the Axis powers in World War II. It's extremely concerning.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about the Army War College, its role, and what you teach at the school.
So the Army War College is the Army's premier senior service school. We teach colonels how to make the transition from the tactical and operational level of war that they've succeeded in order to be selected to attend the Army War College, and we prepare them for the strategic and enterprise levels of war, where they are going to be the Army's most senior leaders, and not just Army officers, but we also train and educate Air Force officers, Navy, and allies and partners from 75 different countries around the globe. We help teach them how to deter war, and if deterrence fails, how to fight and win.
And Professor, tell us a little bit about your career of service on the military and now teaching in the Army War College.
So I was privileged to serve in the United States Army for 20 years as an armor officer. I served as a tank officer in combat in both wars in Iraq. And now at the tail end of my career, as 60 approaches very rapidly, I'm just very, very pleased that I'm able to try to give back to the Army that I love so much, and to the system, the connected system around the globe of countries and militaries and State Departments, foreign ministries that together have helped create the greatest period of peace and prosperity the world has ever known. I'm able to contribute to that and try to give back. The only thing that's wrong with the job is the colonels just get younger every year.
That's right. Any final thought for us about the importance of the European theater right now? What is happening? It seems like it changes day to day.
The most important thing that's happening in the world right now is Ukraine's brave defense of democracy and freedom. Ukraine is defending not just itself, but the countries of Europe and the United States as well. And so what I tell my friends in the United States who are concerned about deterring China from taking Taiwan is that the best way to deter China is to ensure that Ukraine is given everything it needs to defend democracy and freedom here in Europe, fight the Russians, and win.
Dr. John Nagl, veteran of the U.S. Army and now professor at the Army War College. Great to see you here at the AUSA LandEuro Conference in Wiesbaden. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Good to see you. Ken Kraetzer for CaMMVetsMedia.